What is up, fellow Benchwarmers? Welcome to another episode of Fantasy Benchwarmers. I'm your host, JJT, with Commish Eric. 1 month left before the start of the season. We've been starting our drafts for our different leagues, and we've been posting them in our YouTube channels. Got lots of views. Lots of managers interested to know what's happening in the drafts. I know the first draft we had was kind of wild and erratic. Umish, 1 month left, and are you
Yep.
excited for the start of the season? How many drafts have you done other than the one that
Just one. Just one
the last one,
so far.
the
Yeah,
FBW?
the first one, the FBW draft. Yeah,
All right,
we'll have
and
some
you're doing
more
a slow
this
draft.
week. I'm doing a slow draft. Yeah, so that's the second one, and then more in the next few weeks. Have
Yeah.
much more.
It's going to be a lot more drafts in the next few weeks. So today we're going to be continuing our depth chart. We're going to try to finish everything in the next two episodes. So we're done with that because we've got lots of things to talk about still. So let's get it. Let's get to it. Today we're going to talk about Milwaukee, New Orleans, New York, and Phoenix. So let's go with share my screen. All right, Milwaukee. Oh wait, it's not the depth chart. Nothing.
Yeah, for
Not much. Nothing. Different in Milwaukee, I guess.
yeah, status quo for Milwaukee. So basically know what to expect. The difference maybe this year is that Brook Lopez is healthy, hopefully. So that probably is the biggest change here. Outside of that, I think mostly the rotation will stay the same from last season.
Yeah. We've seen other than Giannis, I guess. We've seen Drew Middleton in some drafts falling a bit, right? I'm not sure if they're just being overlooked or they're not. They're the older choices in the league. But do you see? So let's go through position by. Maybe we could first talk about Chris Middleton. Should we be worried about the Chris Middleton injury? And I think the reason why he's dropping down is because he's injured and they might quote unquote load manage him.
I haven't heard about load managing, but that's possible. But he missed the end of the playoffs already. Like before last season, there was a problem because they played into the finals. He went to the Olympics, and then all the way to the training camp. So that was really a red flag already. He was really tired going into last season, and then he got injured. I think also in the regular season he got injured and in the playoffs. But this year he was able to recover from multiple injuries. The injury he currently has, I think, is in the hand. If I'm not mistaken, or something. And reportedly, he's gonna be ready. If not the first week or maybe start of the season, he's gonna be ready. But if he's gonna miss time, he's gonna miss just the first week. So I think um the discount being given to Middleton is too much. A lot of people are messaging that he went to 50s, to 60s. I think that's very low. It's very low for Middleton.
So you still expect him to be the same Chris Middleton
I think
as he
so.
was? Because we've been talking
Boring.
about other, boring picks like Tobias, who's dropped down by a lot. Middleton is another one of those like non-sexy picks, non-exciting picks because you know what to expect, you know what to get. But this, don't get me wrong, Chris Middleton is one of the players that uh, experienced fantasy managers love because he doesn't really give you too many. There aren't much holes in his game. So you're still expecting the same Chris Middleton.
I'm expecting the same Chris Middleton. I think one problem with him is that managers in the early rounds are either going big or going point guard. Because players like Chris Middleton, what he does, he scores threes and everything. You can get them later in the draft. I mean, it's
Mhm.
easier. It's easier, I guess. But if he was a center, let's say, or a point guard, maybe they won't overlook him as much. No, so I think that's the problem with Chris Middleton. Drew Holiday's case. That's why, if you look at it, Drew and Middleton are the same. Boring picks. You know what to expect from them. But Drew is dropping a little lower, not as low as Middleton, just a little like in the 40s, sometimes in the
Yeah,
early
but
mid 30s to the late 30s. So it's because he's a point guard. So in a way, people are still in his stat set is still in demand.
no, not just
In
that. Chris Middleton, Drew Holiday has always ranked higher than Middleton during drafts.
not
Has always,
necessarily.
yeah, he
Um,
has, right? He's always
I
been,
mean,
a more famous or a more popular choice among managers.
in previous years, are you saying in
Yeah, yeah,
previous years?
in previous years, even in previous years, yeah.
Um, I think they're close. I mean, Chris Middleton was top 30 picks, top 30 sometimes the last few seasons. Rank wise, rank wise overall after the season, they're also near, they're also close. Because Drew Holiday also had a period of time where he struggled also, maybe a season or so. But before,
Yeah,
I agree with you. Before he was almost a first rounder, late first round pick, Drew Holiday.
yeah, I
There
remember,
was a time.
yeah,
There was a
either a
time, yeah.
late first round or a sure second round pick.
Yeah.
Um,
But
and
after
then,
that, after that season where he dropped,
yeah, I think that
managers
was
will.
the New Orleans season. I think maybe the last season in New Orleans, the last full season he
Mm.
had with New Orleans before getting traded. So yeah, Drew Holiday, still going to be a solid option. Like you said, point guards and bigs are some of the first to go usually in the early rounds, early to mid rounds. Um, no other changes. I mean, I couldn't see. I mean, Yanis should be Yanis. I don't think we should expect anything less. I'm not sure what he's improved this year because he's always been improving. Um, but I'm not sure as well if managers are concerned about his stint at the Euro qualifiers, but it doesn't seem like it.
Um, yeah, they're not worried, and not that they're not worried. Maybe they're just overlooking the worry because he's good. I mean, he's that good head to head. I mean, if this was Roto, he won't be top two, top three. But head to head, he's definitely going to be very popular pick. Just easy to build around him. You just quickly you have your direction, punt free throws when you get Giannis. So you go fast into that direction, and then when you go to the turn, there are lots of players that can fit in that build also. So, but you worry because he had an injury in the Eurobasket. The ankle and multiple other injuries, small injuries here and there. There was soreness and everything. So you still worry about that. There is no injury history with Giannis, but doesn't mean he's not gonna get injured. I mean,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
There's
Any freak,
always
it could happen. A freak accident could happen here and
yeah.
there. Now my question: you mentioned about punt free throw. Do you if is it an automatic thing? Because there's been impressions about if you pick Giannis or you pick Luca, most likely you're gonna be punting this and that. That's why they're not as highly ranked, I guess, quote unquote, among analysts, I guess, in terms of compared to the other players, right? Uh, do you necessarily have to really punt?
For
Or is there a
Giannis,
way for them, for managers to not really punt free throws?
yes, there's a way. I mean, Giannis free throws have improved a lot. Giannis free throws have improved a lot already. That's why Giannis is already ranked in the top 10, even with free throws included. No, it's not like before when he was outside of the top 10, maybe 12, 13 because of the free throws. It's really a big drag. But in 11 free throws last year, he shot 73%, 72%. So that is not that bad. But
Yeah.
it's just that you have to draft. It's harder to draft the next few picks without punting free throws when you have Giannis because if you're not punting free throws, 72% is 72%. That is not gonna be enough to win. And he's volume free throws at 11 attempts a game. So you have to get that up to at least your team's average, at least 80, 78, 79, 80 to have a decent chance. And the only way you can do that is drafting good free throw shooters. If you draft another poor free throw shooter,
Which
it's
is most
basically
likely.
over. Yeah, which just limits you. It's that's why people are asking, do you need to punt to win? Do you not need to punt to win? There's no right answer there. It's just if your first pick is Giannis, that's the smart thing to do. Because in the next few picks, it's getting harder and harder. Your choices will be getting harder, and then you will limit yourself to saying that I can't get another poor free throw shooter because I have Giannis. So it limits your choice even more. So that's not the smart way of drafting
And
in general.
it's you might as well overlook the strengths of Yanis, because Yanis' strengths are the big man stats, like the field goal, the rebounding, right, the blocks, right. So these are big man stats, and we know big men are notoriously bad at free throws. Most of them, right? Very rare do you get big men. So now, if you're trying not to punch free throw, what will happen is you will try to pick some guards, some shooters, which will now not complement Yanis' stat set, right? And before you know it, you'll probably get players, or you're probably punting rebounds or punting the field goal already because you've got shooters, right? That's what happened in the first draft that I had, right? We had Lillard early on, we have two good free throw shooters, and then I overdrafted on some centers, trying to, get some beef up some reboundings, overlooking some stats like threes, points, wherein Lillard was strong somehow. So I think that's going to be, like you said, it's going to be a challenge if you try to, not punt free throw with Giannis.
Actually, punting up to a point when you're in the second or third, in head to head, you have to do it. I mean, up to a point, it makes it easier. It just makes it easier. And experienced managers, you can see that when you draft, you can see the experienced managers doing it. And I think it's hard to just balance everything out. It's not roto, it's head to head.
Yeah.
So
yeah. Lastly, the center battle. I think we've got three solid center options. Well, at least name value wise, Brook Lopez, Bobby Portis, and Serge Ibaka. Can Brook Lopez and Portis be fantasy relevant still? Portis was, Brook was not last year. Heading into this year, who is the better fantasy option?
I would go Brook. I would go Brook Lopez this year. Brook Lopez is where? Let me see. He's ranked lower than Portis, if I'm not mistaken. He's 120, 121. I think Portis is around earlier, a little earlier than that. Portis though might get minutes at power forward because you see Giannis there. The backups are not really well, his brother. Basically just for hustle plays and everything. Sandro Mamu is
just for moral support.
Thanasis is moral support. Sandro is a little raw. So Brook, of course, we know he'll not get a lot of minutes. He'll get 25 maybe at most. Portis can get to 25 if he plays some power forward. I don't expect Ibaka to get really a lot of minutes. He's just gonna be, showing up here and there. So Brook Lopez for me with the blocks, with the threes. People have forgotten about that. Of course, last year was terrible. He was out the whole season basically, and he played only a couple of games.
And
so
Portis
he's gonna be
was a good fantasy option last year.
Yeah, but he's not gonna be as good as last year. And Portis has a lot of holes in his game. Here, Portis is 101. Rank 101 for this season. And last season was really good for him. He shot, let's see, he had 15 points, 2 threes, 9 rebounds. Those are best case scenarios for Portis. Even in that situation, he was 0.7 blocks, 0.7 steals, and around 40-something, 48% field goal for a center. So Lopez still fares better in fantasy because of 3-pointers and blocks. And then better free throws also. So Lopez is still the better option for him.
All right.
And
And
discounted.
who do you think will surprise here?
Um,
Any player?
Not much here really with Milwaukee. As we said, Milwaukee's kind of like the new San Antonio. So maybe Pat Connaughton. People not really surprised. People know about Pat. He's like a DFS, like a Royce O'Neal kind of player, which is like a glue guy, can help here and there. But still, people can still overlook him. I mean, I think
Though not
given
draftable in 14 team league.
not draftable. But at the start of the season, with if Chris Middleton will miss some games, Ingles will miss until maybe All Star break. So Pat might get a lot of minutes early on. Marjon Beauchamp, the rookie, might get some minutes also, but he's not really what you say. He's not really ready, in my opinion, to contribute fantasy wise. So maybe Pat Connaughton will get a lot of minutes early in the season if Middleton misses time. So he might have value early in the season.
All right.
Yeah.
So that's Milwaukee for you guys. Let's move on to the New Orleans Pelicans, which will be interesting because one of the guys who didn't play last year and will probably be a favorite or not really a favorite, but a player that many would want to know about, which is Zion. So wait, hasn't loaded yet. So let's wait for it to load. So how do you see the wait, let's move down. New Orleans. All right.
Yeah, with New Orleans, a lot of questions with, for one, Herb Jones. A lot of people are questioning, will he play? Where will he
play?
like here? Here he's in the shooting guard position, and then will he play shooting guard? Maybe not. They have Trey Murphy, who they've been building up and promoting heavily as someone who's going to break out. So where does he fit here? And of course Zion, Jonas Valanciunas. They're kind of deeper right now with Zion's entry. So if the question is, where's the first five, right?
Yeah.
I
think
it's just
McCollum is a lock in the first five. Brandon Ingram is a lock. Maybe Jonas is a lock, and Zion is a lock. So that's four. I think the point guard position is the one we're gonna have to think about, whether it's Alvarado or Devontae.
No, they're gonna start CJ at point guard. They've said that. They're gonna play him. Yeah, they're gonna play him at point. So it's a question of who will start alongside him. Whether they're gonna put Herbert Jones there, whether they're gonna put Trey Murphy there. Maybe the rookie Dyson Daniels, who is a rookie but actually fits that first five because he doesn't shoot a lot. He's basically like a giddy kind of a point guard, more of a facilitator. So he also fits that first five. So, or if, as you said, Devontae Graham, will they start Graham with McCollum in a small backcourt?
Might. I wouldn't be surprised if they do start Devontae Graham.
I doubt they would though. I can see they have said that they're gonna pull back Graham's role in the team, so I don't think he'll start. I think Herbert Jones here, which is here, they have Herbert Jones as their placeholder at the starting five. I think that's
so about you think right. Jones
I think
still
Ingram
starts?
Will be the shooting guard. I think Jones starts. Yes, I think Jones starts.
All right, so
especially improve shooting, especially with Herb Jones improve shooting. Ingram and McCollum will be handling the ball majority of the time. So Herb is perfect for this first five. I think Herb will start. If not Herb, the person I can see here is Trey Murphy. So I doubt it's Devontae. I really doubt it's Devontae.
All right. Let's talk Zion for a bit. I know Zion's the guy many wants to talk about or many wants to know more about. How do you deal with Zion? Do you think Zion's going to be ready? Do you think Zion's going to get back to the old Zion that we saw before the injury? Or can we really trust Zion? Because personally, I don't trust him yet as much as many others, I guess.
Well, if he was gonna be, if everybody feels it's gonna be Zion before the injury, he won't be available at number 48 with season rank or ADP of around 40s, right? That's not possible. So people have included the discount there already. I think he's gonna be ready for this. Of course, I'm not think. I know he's gonna be ready for this start of the season. Will he end the season? Will he stay healthy? Is the question. I think he's gonna miss a couple of there will be a lot of injuries here and there, but no one will know if it's gonna be
55
a major one or
games.
not.
55 games, over or under?
I think he'll go over. I think he'll go over with
55?
55 games. Yeah, I think
If
I
he
think he
goes
can
over
go 60.
55, I think that's worth the pick already. If
I
he can
think he
go,
goes over 60. But with Zion also on the right team, right build, Zion is solid. As we know, his field goal is really, really
yeah,
solid. So again, if you have Giannis and you partner him with Zion, that's a perfect combination. Zion could be picked up even in the fourth round. So that limits your risk there. That's something you can think about. If you have AD, of course you don't pick Zion because that's tough. That's two risky players. So someone like Giannis again. Here we're going back to the Giannis a while ago. Gives you easier choices, especially if you're at the 40s. That's the fourth round in 12-team leagues, and Zion is still there. That makes it
yeah,
easy. Other managers will have a hard time pulling the trigger because Zion can hurt their free throws and then it's risky. But for you, remove the free throws. Zion's a second round pick. So, easy.
yeah. So Zion, I just feel that, like, it's going to be a lingering thing, the injuries and all, especially I haven't
Possible.
really seen him. And it seems like Zion has become what, a specialist of sort, right? Like a field goal scoring machine that can really win you the field goal. And maybe a
Um,
rebounding, a little
yeah.
rebounds. Other than that, I don't see him contributing anywhere else.
Well, I wouldn't say specialist, but because there's multiple categories that he can help. But specialist in the sense that he's really really good in those categories.
Yeah.
He has shown that he can block. Now, we haven't seen it in the prime that like one
No,
point
this
eight
is
two
the
blocks a game.
NBA. So I don't think he's gonna get, he's small for his position. Right?
Yeah, but Zion blocks shots. Zion showed it in his sophomore season. That was a great season for him. He can block, and people have said that he has it in him. So there is growth. There's possible room for that. So he's not a negative. Let's just put it that way. He's not a negative in blocks. He's a power forward eligible guy. He's not a negative in blocks. He has also improved his 3-point shooting. So overall, free throws really is a negative for him. But assist is not there yet. But other than that, he's like neutral in some categories. There's chances of him
Improving.
developing, growing. But the health, of course, that's really the big problem with him.
The health
The
and the
injuries
weight.
are not. Well, the contract might help because there's a weight clause in the contract,
Oh,
so
yeah,
that might
yeah,
help. Yeah,
yeah,
that might help. I mean, he might be motivated to stay in shape because of that. I don't know.
yeah, yeah. This, other players that might surprise. Jose Alvarado, is he something, that might carry on what he has done last year in the playoffs and towards the end of the season, or are there other players that we're gonna be looking at, like Jackson Hayes was a late season, always a late season contributor for fantasy teams, right? Um, it doesn't look like there's anyone who can surprise us, I guess. Similar to how Herb
I
Jones
like Trey
did.
Murphy. I like Trey Murphy. I know I'm higher on him than other people. He can really be a good 3-point specialist for a lot of managers. People have been talking about Herb Jones, Herb Jones, Herb Jones, and unless you're in a draft like mine where people totally forgot about him, you have to pick
Which
him in the
was
top
weird,
100.
right? I mean, that's
Yeah, you have to pick Herb Jones in the top 100. So I won't do that. I won't do that. So I'll go maybe if you're in the late already last few rounds. Trey Murphy, somebody I could see drafting. Alvarado, I'm not drafting Alvarado, but I'm not saying he's not going to be fantasy relevant. He's going to be relevant. You know what he can do. We know he's a steals guy. He can do some assists, and then if there's some injuries, he will definitely be a hot pickup if McCollum goes down or whatever. So those people, you can say surprise, but they'll be relevant. Alvarado, Trey Murphy, Graham, no. No. Graham, don't even think of drafting Graham. Jackson Hayes, again, as Jeremy said, eventually he'll be relevant. But also because Jonas Valanciunas just came off a very brutal Eurobasket. So I'm worried about Jonas Valanciunas. I'm worried about his health. I'm worried about him getting injured. I'm gonna call it maybe a plantar fasciitis or something.
Last year was a surprise for Valanciunas. I don't think many expected him to. He started off really, really hot last year. Didn't sustain it, but at least was decent enough towards the end. Of course, I think he got some injuries here and there, but overall he played well, and I think he was somewhat of a surprise last year, considering how he started. But like you said, the mileage might hurt him coming into the season. So yeah, that's the New Orleans Pelicans. Now we move on to New York. Wait, why is this not ready? All right, New York, where are you? Okay, so we have
there
some new acquisitions in the New York lineup.
I think the starting five for this team, of course, we know Brunson, Barrett, Randle, and Mitch Robinson. I think they're gonna be the starters. The question mark here is the shooting guard position. Will Tibbs not be Tibbs and start a younger player like Quentin Grimes? Because this one is RJ is a small forward, and I think it's Quentin Grimes versus Evan Fournier. That's the question mark at the starting five position. That's the only question mark in my opinion.
Yeah. So, I mean, I think, yeah. Well, Tibbs is Tibbs, but there's so much. That Quentin Grimes' name has come up a lot of times already, not because of trade rumors, but because of New York not willing to trade him. So there's some expectations that he could start. He's not being drafted, so is Fournier. So this could be an opportunity if once you see this is a team to watch, I guess, when it comes to the preseason to see how they play or how Quentin Grimes fares, right? But it could be an early headache, right? Because most likely Fournier will not play the preseason.
Fournier will not play?
Yeah, will miss some preseason games. He's old.
Yeah.
He came from the Euro. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if he won't totally play the preseason.
Possible, yes.
So that would put more question marks. So heading into the early part of the season, this is the battle that we're gonna watch out for. Quentin Grimes and Fournier.
We have to. This is a team, New York, that we have to pay attention to training camp reports of their insiders, of their news reporters and everything to find out more. The preseason games itself, I agree with you. We might not see Fournier a lot. We might not even see Randle a lot. Of course, Mitch Robinson will not see. So I'm not sure we can get a lot from the preseason because I would predict that Emmanuel Quickly, Quentin Grimes, Obi Toppin, they would be given a lot of minutes in the preseason. So maybe people pick them up because of what they will do, I'm sure, in the preseason, but I'm not 100% sure that will translate when the regular season starts because Tibbs gonna be Tibbs. So I think it's more in the training camp. Listen, read, just check for any updates about how these guys are doing there.
So Jalen Brunson is the best fantasy option now here in New York.
Jalen Brunson. Yes.
All right.
Not Julius Randle. Jalen Brunson.
the center position, another, I guess it's another not really a mystery, but most likely Mitchell Robinson starts. But this is also going to be intriguing because Mitchell Robinson is a very injury prone player, and Hartenstein is a very good fantasy player. And not just good in the sense that, he can contribute big man stats, he can contribute across the board stats, maybe even better than Mitchell Robinson.
I think so. Mitchell Robinson. Well, the prime of Mitchell Robinson, I think, is still better than Isaiah Hartenstein in the sense that Mitchell Robinson, if he really plays, not get injured, he could be a double double
Last
at
year he
least
was
10 points.
okay. Mitchell Robinson was
Yeah,
okay last year.
10 points, maybe 12 rebounds, maybe 2 to 3 blocks easily. So that's still in fantasy blocks inflated. Inflates your ranking. So you'll rank higher than Hartenstein. But you're right. Hartenstein is not Nerlens Noel. For one, he's not as injury prone
No,
as
Nerlens Noel is maybe an
Noel.
older version of Mitchell Robinson.
Yeah, this one Hartenstein gives him something different because Hartenstein can pass.
Yeah.
They can run the offense around him, and then in limited minutes last year, Hartenstein was always in the top 120 and 30. When he was given 18 to 20 minutes, he was almost top 120 because he steals, blocks, assists. He gives that at center position. The only reason that I don't really go out of my way to really draft Hartenstein is because of Tibbs again. We know I don't know haven't heard anything about what Tibbs thinks of Hartenstein. I don't know. I don't know if that signing is because of Leon Rose or because of the GM or because of whoever, or is it because Tibbs wanted Hartenstein? I don't know that, and I'm worried about that because if Tibbs doesn't like you, well, Tibbs doesn't like you, unless
Yeah.
your name is Taj or Rose. We're not gonna be sure about that.
Which is, of course, our favorite, Derrick Rose. I mean, Hardenstein is probably one of the best backup centers or power forwards out there. Right? I mean, fantasy
Yeah.
wise, he just probably won't get enough minutes or enough uh, to be draftable fantasy wise. But probably within the season, he'll be picked up,
Yes.
considering that Mitchell
He
Robinson is not the healthiest.
Hartenstein is draftable. He's around out. He's ranked 114th right now, and outside 120, he's gonna be picked. There will be people who will gamble on him because that's a time when you gamble already that range. He'll be picked, but I don't know if he's gonna stick in your roster though. He might be dropped.
Yeah.
Eventually, when some poor games here
Yeah,
and
but
there, some 8 minute, 10 minute
if you're
games,
gonna
he
think
might be
about
dropped.
that, isn't that just a waste of a pick?
No, it's because we don't. If you're drafting now, we don't really know what his role is going to be. But because of the upside, you have to at least risk it, and then see in the first few games how he performs. There's a chance. It's just that there's a chance that you might drop him again because there's a possibility that he gets limited minutes. Because remember, there's another guy that we haven't talked about here. That's Obi Toppin.
Yeah.
Obi, people are saying
Another
bust, bust,
guy
bust.
that's not being helped by Fibs.
Yes. Obi Toppin, if the Laurie Markkinen trade just happened in a different dimension, and it was the Donovan Mitchell coming to New York, Obi Toppin would be, I think, gonna be picked in the top 100. I'm gonna say it right. If he went to Utah instead of Laurie Markkinen, Obi would be top 100 instead of Laurie Markkinen because that's he's good. He showed that last year when Randall missed a couple of games
Yeah.
in the garbage silly season time. He showed it. And will that be enough for Tibbs to play him over Randall? No. But will that be enough for him to get even at least more minutes? Possibly. So uh I think that's another wrinkle that can hurt Hartenstein. What if Tibbs starts to play top in at center with Randall, right? That's
Yeah.
possible. So
Who
there.
do you think will surprise us the most? Probably somewhat of a sleeper player here.
Well, I don't
Is
know
it
if you consider.
Grimes?
Yeah, do you consider Grimes a sleeper anymore? But I guess he's the sleeper because he's not being picked. So there are a lot of possible breakouts here. I could put IQ, Manuel quickly, because Tibbs talked about him. I talked about giving him more minutes and giving him more roles,
That
a
might just
bigger
be a
role.
decoy, so that we
Possibly,
won't talk about Derrick Rose. But
but I can easily see this lineup of New York being out of the playoff hunt and Tibbs getting fired around February. I can see that. And when that happens, a lot of players here, we talked about Grimes, IQ, Toppin, Hartenstein, these guys, even Miles McBride, these guys will suddenly become very, very popular and very, very appealing by that time. Maybe not during draft season, but I can foresee it. And we're gonna go back to this episode when that happens. It can easily happen that, look at the Eastern Conference, how deep, how good it is, and look at how New York and the GM and everybody wants to win already, and look at this lineup. It's just not possible for them to contend. So yeah, that could happen. I
and
can
is it
easily see that
safe to
happen.
say that Randall could be the bust guy here, or are you looking at other
Yes.
players?
I'm going Randall. I'm going Randall with the bus. RJ Barrett is being overdrafted though. I've seen people go as high as 80s with 90s. Although his draft is ranked lower in Yahoo, but I've seen a couple of drafts that he's going higher. Barrett's holes in his fantasy game is still there. He can score very good. He can really score, but come on, the field goal, the free throws, the threes are not yet that high.
Don't
Can't
let
steal,
that.
can't block.
Maybe
So
maybe lots of managers were influenced by that new contract that RJ Barrett signed a couple
yeah,
of
no,
weeks
no, no, no.
ago.
Too high for me. I think if you pick him in the 80s or 90s, then he's gonna be the bust of this team. But if you didn't and you picked Randall in the top 50,
Randall, where do you pick Randall? 80s or lower?
80s, 80s. I think Randall will be top 80 best case scenario. If you count everything, I'm not talking about if you punt this, punt that. Of course, he's gonna go up if you punt maybe the percentages, but top 80 is more or less his range. So if he's there at the 80s, which he never is anyway, then maybe you can consider him. If not, let other people, pick him
Yeah.
and deal with him, I guess.
Have the Julius Randle headache. All right, that's New York for you guys. The last for this episode is the Phoenix Suns. Interesting things
Our
going on
favorite
in
owner.
Phoenix right now. Just seen here on the right most of the screen, the owner's having some problems and it's like he could be on the way out. I'm not sure if it's gonna affect the players, but similar to how Milwaukee was their finals opponent a couple of years ago. Phoenix didn't make a lot of changes as well, other than maybe JaVale's not there anymore. I don't see any major changes here in Phoenix.
I think the biggest change here will be Saric coming back. Maybe that's the reason they're okay. I guess we're not gonna be question. We don't have to talk about the starting five. As we
Yeah.
said, this starting five is as sure as we can be about any starting five. Even the bench, the Cameron Payne, Landry Shamet, Cam Johnson bench, Dario Saric, and Biombo. That's clear as daylight that's gonna be the 10 players in the rotation. So question is maybe can Saric be again his old self and maybe
When
get
was that?
more minutes from Crowder?
That was
What?
Philadelphia days?
No, in Phoenix he was okay. I mean he was fine. I'm not saying his fantasy. I'm not saying his fantasy relevant, but in real life sense that maybe he gets more minutes than Crowder, or maybe he gets some backup minutes instead of Biombo. So that's the only thing maybe you can think about here in Phoenix.
Yeah, but fantasy wise though, I think this team is what 4-5 man deep, I guess.
Paul,
Five.
Booker,
Five. I
McCall,
think five.
Ayton, and Cam.
Yeah.
And Cam Johnson. Yeah.
Cam
I think
over
five.
Jay, right? Cam over Jay Crowder.
Yeah.
So 5-man deep. Any player you think will surprise? This could be the shortest depth chart analysis that we'll have. I don't think there's anyone.
Cam Johnson.
Is he still going to be
No,
a
Cam
surprise?
Johnson.
Last year he was good already.
Um, I think he's still gonna be a surprise. In our slow draft, he went 126.
Well, he's
I know
true.
132. 132.
He's been
And then in our
going
draft,
there.
in my draft, he went around lower than that even. So I think that's very, very low. He's actually a little sleeperish already at that position.
Now that you mentioned it, I just thought of. Do you think Cam Johnson is going to be better than Klay Thompson?
No. Klay Thompson?
Yeah.
No.
Given
I
the
don't think.
Klay could miss some games, and we've talked about him regressing a bit.
Yeah, but even with that, Cam Johnson himself still is a bench player. I mean, he's gonna average 25 minutes, 24 minutes. So he's not really gonna go to 33 minutes, 34 minutes.
Unless an injury here.
Yeah, unless an injury happens. And
what happened last year? I couldn't remember what happened last year. I think he scored 40, 50 in a game.
Yeah,
and then
I think there was a game where there was a game where he I think he had the game winner also.
But was there anyone injured there?
He got injured after that game.
No, but before that, was he?
No, I think he
because I think during that span he had a great stretch there. Yeah. There was this stretch where before he got injured, and before that, 40, 50 plus game, he got injured. He got injured, but he had a good stretch there. So I was thinking, was there a player that got injured as well from the starting
I think it
five?
was Devin Booker. Devin Booker got injured there, if you remember. I don't remember exactly what injury, but Devin Booker got injured there. So he when Booker gets injured, he gets much more minutes because Mikal sometimes shifts to the shooting guard position and then he gets to the small forward position. But again, he's being overlooked. He's being overlooked in a lot of drafts, and I think he's a guy that you can consider. But he's not Klay Thompson level. Even if Klay rests some games here and there, not in that level because Klay can still shoot better than Cam Thompson and shoot more, and has a bigger role than Cam Johnson.
All right. Yeah. So yeah, that's any bust here, potential bust. Given that pretty much everyone's sure. Well, Chris Paul.
Chris Paul is going 30s. I think that's just right. Okay, I know he's old. He's 38. So that is a possible bust only if he gets injured, which is not being fair to him. No, so we don't know that.
Chris Paul going 30s, potential bust, more of a potential bust, or more of a potential sleeper? Sleeper, quote unquote. Sleeper because he's always overachieved, or we've always ranked him lower than what he can still do.
I think he's more of a potential 30s, no? I think he's more of a potential sleeper than a bust. He's been able to help his body, he's been able to take care of his body. So I think the odds there are good. Unless he gets a freak injury like what he had last year, the hand thing, which is a freak injury. He just got hit somewhere, not really a hamstring or an ACL or whatever. So I think at 30s, even if he plays 80, 75 games and he regressed from his old Chris Paul self because he's getting older, he's still going to be in the top 40, 45. So that's not a bust if you picked him in the 30s. He might not be the 30s value, but still, he gets 40s to 50s value. Worst case scenario if he stays healthy. But in regular scenario, if he doesn't get hurt, he's gonna be a top 25 guy. So
because I think the only thing stopping managers from picking him is his age, right? Knowing that he is
age.
36, 37, 38?
He's 38. He's 38 right? By the start of the season. So
he's probably the oldest player who's still fantasy relevant, and considering that he's being drafted at the 30s. LeBron's what?
LeBron and
37, right? 36.
no, LeBron's older. LeBron's 38 also. LeBron's 84, 1984. So 38. LeBron's turning 38 also.
So, yeah.
Chris Paul is gonna turn 38 in his next 37. They're almost at the same age. Chris Paul and LeBron.
All right. So, both those
So
guys
both of
are
them.
beating the odds in terms of the longevity and the effectiveness of playing basketball. All right. That's it for this episode. We have, I think, 4 or 5 more teams left. For the next episode, we'll finish that off probably in the next couple of weeks. We are, we're posting, like I said, we're posting our drafts in our YouTube channel. It's getting lots of comments as well with managers watching. I know there are managers who watched the first draft and felt that it wasn't a quote unquote competitive draft from that standpoint because it was a wild draft. But just to just more context, those managers, you're right, they're less experienced when it comes to the fantasy game. So as we go along the different draft process, there'll be more experienced managers as well. No excuses though. I mean, they're gonna be competitive. I think there could be some outliers there.
It's an actual draft. It's still better than a mock draft because it's an actual draft with it's not a free league.
Plus, we've seen so many leagues already wherein they, moves seem ridiculous, moves seem to not make sense, face value, but eventually, teams that made those moves got stronger, got better. So it's still very, very early. Lots of things can still happen, and we can't judge the teams yet through the draft. But yeah, we'll see how the season goes. But yes, we'll be posting a bunch of drafts. We'll also have some guests during the drafts, so watch out for those as well. We've booked some guests already in some of the drafts. All right, that's it. We'll see you guys again on the next episode. Bye, guys.